Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Winged Supernova, and after about a month, welcome back to the final case of Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It's been a long road. I started this as my first ever Let's Play on this channel in August of last year, and it is now May of the year afterwards. And we are finally reaching the end of this. Before we start, though, I do want to say that life has been coming at me fast over the last month, which is why I took an unannounced break. I have already recorded a couple episodes of Kirby as well, so that will be continuing. And then getting prepared for the summer of absolute destruction, as I like to call it, where so many games are coming out and so many things that I want to play for the channel too. So it'll be just a play it by ear situation, I think, as we get closer to that. And I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do in between the short time when this game ends and probably I'd say June 10th, Mario Strikers. I probably won't upload too much Mario Strikers stuff, if any, on the channel, but that's the first big game of the summer that comes out before The Somnium Files comes out June 24th, which I will be playing on the channel. That's set in stone. Love that game, and I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel. But, yeah, if you guys have any suggestions of things that you would like me to play for the channel, I would definitely appreciate those. And I also would like your guys' opinion. I mentioned this few episodes ago, I believe. In the special content section, you've got this thing that they call escapades, and I didn't know that these existed. There's one for every episode, I believe. At least most episodes. And the first... they're all about the Ranced magazine, it looks like, but they're like little mini stories. And I didn't know that they existed, and I feel like I should have played them after each episode, but I didn't. And then there's accolades, of course, which I'm not going to get all these, but they're pretty cool. Mostly for clicking on some things in the investigations. But, yeah, that's about it for this stuff. There's also a bunch of nice costumes for these guys. But I'm not playing with those. Maybe we'll play with them in the special contents. But as of right now, I think it's about time to start this final trial. Final chapter. The resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Yeah, I definitely expected there to be like maybe a whole nother case after this, but nope. They're just literally putting the final portion of the trial for case 4 as in its entirety as the final episode of this game, which this is gonna be messed. So, the time's finally come. Today, we unravel everything. I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Miss Susato. Oh, she seems lost in thought. Miss Susato? Ah! Gotta have one more of those before the end of the trial. Well, the end of the game, I guess. Oh, no! Oh, it's already messing up lines. Oh, no! What's the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Nothing... I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but... I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but... I shan't let you down. Would you mind helping me to my feet, then? Oh dear, I'm really very sorry. Susato-san isn't her usual self at all. But that's hardly surprising, I suppose. She just found out that her father is the partner of a world-famous detective, not to mention...
Good morning, sir.
Oh. Hello, Lord Van Zeeks. Lord Van Zeeks! Thank you for all your efforts yesterday. What? Did I hear that correctly? What? Oh, no, nothing. Just, I hope we can clear things up today. I really can't make this man out. His face says, I hate you, but his words are almost jovial today. In fact, he hasn't been very Reaper-like at all since this all began yesterday.
Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo.
Good point. The Reaper, I suppose in hindsight, I shouldn't have allowed that misconception to go unchallenged. Huh? It was my tacit acceptance of that pseudonym. My failure to stop the Reaper becoming something more than a mere legend that led all to this.
But you're not to blame for that, You're not to blame for that, Lord Van Zeeks.
Learning curves. Shake the rust off. Come on. It's only because serious crime in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling you that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason.
What do you mean?
There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother.
Oh.
That having been slain by that evil killer, Clint's restless spirit returned as some sort of demigod, to wield a deadly blade of justice where I, by dint of the law, could not.
Yes, we've heard that story too.
When I lost him, I felt as though I'd lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wonder if perhaps those rumors made me feel his absence a little less keenly. Even if I knew it was just an illusion, just some nonsense conjured up by an over-imaginative public.
He was obviously extremely important to you. Lord Clint Van Zeeks.
Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know that you didn't take anyone's life. And I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt in the court today. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes, that burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity.
Thank you.
Wow. That's heavy. Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? Well, hello, Iris. Oh, Iris, when did you get here?
Oh. I brought you one of my special blends. Hurley loves it. He says it helps him to clear his head.
I thank you.
Oh, hehe.
That's surely the first and last time I'll ever see a sight like this. Yeah, if only you could take a picture of it. You seem different today, Iris.
Oh?
Sort of subdued, I suppose.
I am not!
What happened yesterday is obviously still playing on her mind a lot. She's clearly very troubled about having stolen that autopsy report from Dr. Seiss' laboratory.
All right then. Good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh? You're not staying?
I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings.
Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. But I've got lots to get ready.
Get ready? For what?
Oh, yes. Would you take this?
Not take a look at it. What the hell is this? It's like a charm of some sort. It looks like a Japanese phone charm, except those don't exist, obviously. Isn't that one of the little felt dolls that's usually dangling from your knapsack?
Yes, it's a lucky charm. A little Hurley that I made once.
Hurley. Looks more like a... Okay, I'm not reading that. Come on. You gotta do better than that. Come on.
If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can.
What? Pull his ears?
That's right. It's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it.
You know what? I'm not gonna look at that until we run out of options. I'm not. I'm gonna refuse to look at it right now until we run out of options. My curiosity will not get the better of me.
You think what we'll need is luck? I just sneaked a peek inside the courtroom, and it seemed very different to normal.
Oh, do we get a final battleground? Or is it just like the mood is different? Yes, it would seem that a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? That means Kazuma. Or Lord Strongheart, I suppose. Could be them.
What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out all night and he hadn't come home by the time I left this morning.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
Oh, I see.
Was Professor Mikotoba out all night too, do you think, Miss Susato?
Yes, it would seem so. I telegrammed the hotel this morning. And apparently they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all.
They?
Father and Judge Jigoku, I mean.
Judge Jigoku too?
That's right. Nobody appears to have seen either of them since yesterday.
Oh boy, I get to do this. Nah, maybe not for the last time, but we're gonna treat it like the last time. What voice? What voice do I give you? I'm looking at character. I have like a set of amiibo up there. I'm trying to like pick one.
Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom at once.
That was not really Mario, but that's like the most ridiculous, exaggerated Italian voice I can do.
Good luck then, Runo. Good luck, Susie.
Yes, thanks, Iris.
And you, Mr. Reaper. I hope it goes well.
Once again, I thank you for the delicious tea. It was very soothing.
Oh, I'm so glad. We must go inside now, Lord Van Zieks.
Lord Van Zieks has always been the formidable prosecutor I've had to lock horns with in court, but not today. Today I battle with another in pursuit of the truth. My best friend, Kazuma Asogi, who I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now I understand what it was that drew me here to Britain all those months ago. Now I know exactly what destiny had in store for me. It's all been leading up to this one day, to this one trial, to this one final reckoning. Deep breaths, deep breaths. We need Apollo's cords of steel training right now. Oh, no music at all. The look is still the same, it seems. It feels even more oppressive here than it did yesterday. There are cold stares piercing me like knives from all sides today.
Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, look!
Oh! He's the judge. Uh-oh. I cannot wait for him to be the bad guy behind all of this. Lord Strongheart! Kazuma must have known beforehand. The ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. In fact, events have come to light that threaten to rock the very foundations of our country's legal system. Yeah, and he's trying to, get past anything. Well, he's trying to build the judiciary up to being like an all-encompassing, powerful force, especially with the investigation team, the forensic investigation team. That's it. The escape of a condemned criminal on the night of his execution, the subsequent unlawful shooting of the man, and the revelation that prison staff must have been complicit in the jailbreak. Britain is currently hosting influential members of the judiciary from countries all around the world. It is imperative that we uncover the truth in these proceedings to avoid international embarrassment. By royal decree, this will continue to be a closed trial. Ooh, stanced up, huh? And one over which I, male Strongheart, exercise total and unequivocal authority. He's got like a unicorn? Unicorn cane? Oh. Oh. No juror. It's just him? Oh, so we're fucked. Oh, that sucks, because that means that he can just decide the outcome of the trial whenever he feels like it. And if he's the bad guy, then we're kind of screwed, right? Unless someone just shows up and is like, checks and balances, you dumb bitch, get on the stand. Man. I really have no evidence to prove... Well, I have no evidence in my current mind to prove that he is the villain behind all this. I have no evidence. But I think it makes sense for him to be the bad guy. We'll see. I mean, he's got motive at least, I think. As was the case in yesterday's proceedings, those here present in the public gallery are distinguished members of our judiciary assembled to bear witness to a fair judicial process. In other words, a collection of your acolytes, Lord Strongheart. And he says nothing about it. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zieks. You were a prosecutor of exceptional talent. Much like your brother, Clint, in fact. Going straight for the jugular already, huh? Damn! That sound. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. And there we go. For the trial of Barak Van Zieks, who officially stands accused of murder. And the Charlie Brown circus comes into town. Counsels for the prosecution and defense, are you in full readiness to proceed? The defense is ready, my lord. As is the prosecution. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. Yes, he was carrying out operations in secret, which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. And in those clandestine operations, he had an accomplice. Mr. Daily Vigil, who would be given the inspector's identification, and present himself around the capital in order to establish credible alibis for Gregson. In that way, Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work, when in fact he wasn't. At the end of yesterday's session, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. It would appear he buried his memories of the time deep inside himself as a means of self-preservation. Because whilst he was engaged as chief warder at Barclay Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. Mr. Vigil is currently recuperating at St. Sinner's. He's recovered enough to give a signed statement about his movements on the day prior to the incident. He's formally admitted to posing as Gregson whilst investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to the crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed one day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject, my lord. Really? Go ahead, Prosecutor Asogi. I met once again with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. She confirmed that the defense's suggestion could not be ruled out. Ooh. That's a bonus for us. It's entirely possible that Inspector Gregson was killed on 31st of October, the day before his body was discovered. I have here an updated autopsy report that includes the amended details. But the official opinion of the investigation team was made clear yesterday, that the time of death was 5 p.m. on the 1st of November. There are indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems that the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question.
Hey, fuck off, buddy!
There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse.
My lord, this is more than just conjecture. There's evidence to support the idea. We must investigate it thoroughly.
Very well. The court will accept the new report as evidence. However, if this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno Street incident. It would, yes, especially since on that day, Inspector Gregson was using Mr. Vigil to cover up his real movements. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding those activities? Scotland Yard put an enormous effort into investigating that precise matter yesterday. That would be helpful. I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. So the prosecution calls its first witness now. The stage is set, and it is Gina Lestrade. The best girl. State your name and occupation for the court.
Inspector Gina Lestrade reporting. Representative of Scotland Yard.
A self-conferred rank, but never mind. Gina, again?
What's your problem, Otto? What's with that, Gina? Again? Look, eh?
Hey, she's learning! Susato has been teaching her.
The boss meant the world to me. He done more than me than anyone else ever did.
Oh? Inspector Gregson, you mean?
He got me out of the back slums of the East End and took me under his wing. Taught me that life can have a purpose. So that's why I'm the best person to be standing here speaking for him. Oh, Gina.
Right. All out of the goodness of Gregson's heart. Not at all that he had his arm twisted by Mr. Sholmes. No. What's relevant to these proceedings is that the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations yesterday has revealed that the victim was carrying out some assignment the police knew nothing about. Very troubling. That face, Lord Strongheart knew.
He's keeping secrets.
That's one of the reasons why I suspect him. So, Inspector Lestrade, let's hear exactly what it says in that report.
Coming right up, sir. All your detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. But a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day.
Smuggled goods dealings. That sounds like a... that sounds like a... I don't know why, but it reminds me of like an item that you would see on a Midwest, like, breakfast cafe here. Smothered good eatin' or some shit like that.
Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is, there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too.
Oh. Sounds like a time to press some things. Smuggled goods?
I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book.
Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines, goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at regular black markets that take place in the capital. But the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of those black markets? It's been suggested that higher-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked to the involved parties. That would explain why he was operating on his own authority without the Yard's knowledge. And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. And on the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter. That can't be. We haven't heard anything about any of this. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. The accused, Barrack Van Zeeks, was present. That would be very significant testimony then.
Oh my, but... Lord Van Zeeks has made no mention of this at all.
In short, Lord Van Zeeks had ample opportunity to murder the victim. Very well then, counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination. Oh boy. The beginning is here. I'm very excited. So let's get to dissecting. Let's get to dissecting here. So you follow orders, do you, Gina? That's the first question. So you're playing nice, huh? That's a first for you, you little fucking rascal.
Nah, not me. I'm above all that. See,
you're a member of the fucking law. Oh.
The boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips or go and give Toby his grub. That kind of thing.
So basically, get the fuck out of my hair so that I can do secret stuff. So, errands more than orders then. This detective is still an apprentice after all.
Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigations into what happened. I didn't find much at first.
Yeah, she told us about the notebook at least. I want that in my evidence folder if I don't have it. So you went through Inspector Gregson's things?
Yup, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation.
I'm sure your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative.
So I snuck into his office when no one else was about.
There wasn't a guard to it or anything?
Because if anyone at the yard had seen me going in there, they'd have turfed me straight out into the street.
This is sounding less and less like an investigation and more like something else. What, like subterfuge? Yeah. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook.
You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby.
997, huh?
We found it hidden in one of his desk drawers that had a false bottom.
Wow, she found that, huh? Oh wait, she was a diver. She probably is good at finding, like, hidden compartments and things like that.
So then I went to hide myself where no one could find me so I could have a butcher's at what was written in it.
That's one of those Englishisms.
Because if anyone at the yard had found me out, they'd have turfed me straight out on the street. I've given it in now, though, ain't I? And if it weren't for me, it would never have been found.
Fucking Christ, I cannot read Gina's dialogue today. Yeah, we already read this. Thankfully, I don't have to read that one again. Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place?
Yep. It was all there in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember.
As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Why are you stopping her? Yes, I remember, but I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in the future. Therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings.
I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here. All I've got to do is read it out. And I could too. I got this reading game buttoned up now. Can I show you what I can do? Go on, what's the arm?
The judge hasn't signaled his objection yet. I could try to find out. What should I do? Oh boy. We're already saving. Yeah, we're already saving. Yep, I'm one of those that doesn't make multiple save slots. I probably should have, so that I could just, you know, go back to each case. And then that would be easier, but... Insist! This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Oh. Yeah, he did his piece and now he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Kazuma? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail in the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. That's interesting.
Right then, I get to show off me reading skills. Apparently, the smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse.
The Grouse? It's the first I've heard of that, I think. The Grouse. What sort of club is that?
I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing.
I wouldn't expect it to be.
But I am kind of curious.
It's a gentleman's club. They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked in the mirror recently?
I'll tell you what. Me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover.
You are the worst to go in undercover. Could you, though?
I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there.
I mean, I know you tied your hair up or something like that, but I'm gonna be quite honest with you. You're a woman. As a gentleman's club. Do you know what they do in gentlemen's clubs? I don't think she has any idea what they do in gentlemen's clubs. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it?
Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower-ranking detectives at the yard reckon.
Says the even lower-ranking detective. So how had Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case?
That's the question, ain't it? But I'm just an apprentice, so...
And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings?
Yeah, that's what I was asking myself. 'Cause you know, I'm just an apprentice.
When it suits you, yes. I was getting that feeling. I was like, yeah, you're an apprentice. When you don't have a better excuse.
Anyway, the point is, something went on at that club. No question.
You can't say that for certain, though, surely? Now, this is the interesting one, the big one. Lord Van Zieks was at the club? He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. It looks like there's no disputing that he was there then.
Well, we know that Lord Van Zieks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the inspector's secret notebook.
Which led him to the club, you mean? Maybe. Presumably, then, there are also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there? None have been identified at this time, no. So the all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club.
Oi! Why ain't you asking Inspector Lestrade here, eh?
So that's all I've got to work with. Gina's not holding back with that ice-cold stare of hers, is she?
I really don't know what to make of all this. Lord Van Zieks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you?
I think we should be thinking that he's telling the truth, because that would mean that Gregson never showed up at the club, right? Maybe he got attacked on the way to the club. I mean, that's the only option, right? He would have to have been attacked on his way to the club. Because if Van Zieks showed up, and nobody has seen Gregson there, then that would mean that there's no contradiction, right? Because he was... I don't know how... The question then becomes, how did Van Zieks get the information that Gregson was going to the club that day? That's the big question right there. And how did the killer find out that Gregson was going to the club as well? Because they would have had to have jumped him or ambushed him, something of the sort like that. Interesting. That's not the only way to explain this.
Oh!
If everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere.
You mean there are details we've yet to uncover?
Exactly. A clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. That's what we should be looking for here. Alright, so let's see. I think I'm gonna have to look this one up, unfortunately. I got no idea. I apparently missed something. Nope, not that. I don't know why I did that. Just skip through this again. You want to go in here and check... Where is it? Did I miss it? The letter of introduction. It's got this thing on the back.
Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse, First Class Cabin 001. Yokohama departure 11th of September, London arrival 1st November.
Ah, that's the boat that Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jigoku came on from Japan, isn't it?
Yes, I think it called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover.
To think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Buria. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary.
And I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone?
Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo?
Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? So, that's what I missed. And what makes it even worse is that they don't say anything about it in the letter of introduction here. It says, it's written on the back of a ticket for passage on a steamship, but they don't say, oh, it's written for the steamship SS Grouse. And they don't say anything about it. It is not a gentleman's club. That is the problem here. So... Objections! That was much, much simpler than what it should have been. And that's compounded. That's my fault, because I took that break. I didn't remember all the details. This is a very long case. So that's probably going to happen more than once. We'll see. I'll try and get better at it. I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on the 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on the 1st of November. The day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st of October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission. That ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging. The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. That makes sense, because he got the passport thing that said that he was issued for travel to France the day before his body was discovered. Right? He had to get that done so that he could go out of the country and grab him. What's weird about that is that we thought it says it's for him and one more. We thought that was supposed to be given to him so that he could take why is my brain dying right now? Gina. We thought that it was supposed to be so that he could take Gina out of the country because he had that special conversation with us off to the side while Gina was distracted with Toby, right? He was like, I'm going to try and take her out of the country. And then we found that after he was dead in his suitcase. And we were like, oh, so he got the thing necessary to take Gina out of the country, right? And he got killed before he could do so. No, he went out of the country with someone else, probably the killer, or at least someone who's a person of interest for sure. And, you know, never made it back alive, at least. So it's this. What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim. Dated 31st October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Order! Order! This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived in Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean you knew about this? Of course he did. The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Asogi? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts, without exception. Let me guess. This was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. The Reaper? Order! Order! What on earth are you saying, counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So, you're saying the mission he was undertaking was, obviously, an assassination. Oh. Barak Van Zeeks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast-iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that was Inspector Gregson?
What the hell do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that.
And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense.
No, it can't be.
We
also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper.
Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zeeks. No, the true Reaper is somebody else. Barak Van Zeeks is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, counsel? Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jigoku were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm sure we would have heard about it. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported aboard the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson died Gregson did board. Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night, with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gina Lestrade.
Eh? What?
The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey.
You're lying! Even if all them bludgers what got taken out at it coming, the boss weren't the Reaper.
Poor Gina. There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you've spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumors.
I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it.
Then testify again as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss. Ooh, that's twisting her arm.
I don't.
I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Damn. Alright. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. What a hell of a twist. I mean, we knew that, yeah, we did know that Gregson was heavily involved in the activities. I'm still not sure exactly where the truth lie. He very well could be the assassin, and then someone else was telling him what to do. But that seems a little simple to me. That seems a little bit simple. I think it's probable that the person that went with him, because they haven't mentioned that yet, it says for him and one other person. I think the person that went with him may have been like a team duo of assassins, right? Him and one other person. We don't know who that person is, but whoever it was brought back that suitcase, right? Because otherwise, if he had been killed there, it would have just, would have just stayed there. But someone brought his body back and the suitcase. So that's something. We will see in the next episode, though, what exactly that something probably was. So until then, thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you really like it, subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next part on probably, I think this one's going up Saturday, so Monday. Yep.